today's presentation is going to about photo basics, since it is one of the interest area of Dr. Ganga Mehto, and we all are very much interested these days in photos and in any form, let it be selfie or some other. So I hope Dr. Ganga Mehto would try to teach us some basics about the photo basics. And at the outset, I am very much thankful to Dr. Ganga Mehto because he is such an energetic and enthusiastic person who came forward with this presentation, and which is one of his interest area. And so for that, on behalf of the Academic Forum Cell, I would like to give my heartfelt thanks to Ganga Mehto, and I would request Dr. Mehto, with due permission of the principal sir, to begin with the presentation. Dr. Mehto, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected principal sir, DSC Mandal sir, and respected professor, all dear colleagues. I'm really privileged to present before you a very common topic that all of us are associated with, all of us deal with our day-to-day life. I have been learning some tips and tricks for last 5-6 years. I had interest since beginning, and I had been learning this. I would like to share some of those experiences, and no teaching. First of all, no teaching, some of the sharings as to how with a simple thing we can make our photos great. To start with, I have divided the whole presentation into 5-6 parts. We have an introduction, then I'll take you to brief history of photography, then we'll try to know the camera and basic setups, then we'll discuss some basics of composition, some basics of exposure, and some basics of light, how they work. So about 6 parts it has. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Some of these pictures have been part of history and reminds of devastations and other things. These three pictures that I have selected have been worldwide popular, and they made people to think a lot. Nothing is written, but they do tell a lot about human way they deal with about war. The last photo talks about war and a small child suffering from war. The second last photo talks about a child in Africa, malnutrited, the vulture ready to pounce on him as soon as he dies, a very popular picture. And the first one, all of you know that. The history behind these pictures, they do tell stories. But 1,000 words are engraved into one single image. Picture is worth 1,000 words, and every picture tells a story. The word photography is taken from Greek origin. It has a Greek origin. The word photo means light, and the word graph is drawing. So basically, photography is drawing with light, and it is one of the most powerful means of communication. And snapshots are the casual records that we keep, our birthdays, our celebrations, our farewells, our meetings. They are termed as snapshots. A photograph can transport you to a different world. When you look at the photograph, you get lost into that time. Because it's a small part, a small slice of the history. You go back to that time and you start thinking about that. It can rekindle your memories of the past, or your nostalgia when you were young at a different time, love, happy times, etc. It can make you smile, excited, mad, or even sad. So it can be a course of self-examination as well. When you have something at this age, I was this, some sort of self-examination as well. For many people, millions of people, photography is a satisfying hobby. I am one of them. I have a hobby of photography. Some of them, it's a rewarding career as well. A lot of people around the world has taken photography as career. For teachers, it is very important, because whenever we need to illustrate an abstract idea, something that the children cannot visualize or can visualize better with the help of a photograph of that particular thing, we cannot take children to every part. We cannot take children, say for example, to Ajanta or to the White House, but a photograph in our presentation or in any other place can really do that job. So for us, we do with it day-to-day life. It's a part of our pedagogy, and I have been dealing with last 5-6 years in NCERT. I deal more with photographs than with the text. When it comes to infographics, there is a book I have been using that's called Infographics, Grammar Through Infographics. So the course I am creating, I am using more visuals than the text, because visuals appeal more, and the visually represented ideas can have a lot to say. So for teachers it is very, very important. For others it is a way of treasuring the memory of the past, and everyone is literally a photographer today. All of us, those who hold a tiny device, a smartphone, is a photographer today. Photography was not considered as an art. They said, "Arey, ye to camera hai. The camera will capture it. What is your role?" But I'll tell you later part, photography is an art because a lot goes. Camera cannot work in isolation unless you work with it. You give direction to the camera. It cannot work properly. So for you, the composition technique, the light, the exposure, all these things are a part of creation. So it's a creation, it's a creative art. Photography is now widely accepted as a fine art. It's mostly exhibitions in museums and many places. Equivalent to art, photography is considered. There are many types of photography: portraits, travel, product, fashion, human interest, photojournalism, macro, very interesting area, sports, landscape, wedding. These are some of the genres of photography. History, I'll take you briefly to the history. Leonardo da Vinci, everyone knows his name, Mona Lisa, and popular pictures. He is considered one of the inventors of photography, and he worked with camera obscura, where a very dark room was prepared with a tiny hole inside, and in that dark room, the outside image was projected through light. When the light was just in front, the image will go, as you can see through the picture. Then later on, with some more improvement, in 18th century, this Joseph Nesfor, he worked on an electronic surface which was somehow, bright sunlight was exposed, and this is one of the earliest surviving images. He tried to make white sheet inside a dark screen. So all of the dark white screen image coming over there. Then Loris Duggery, he was the one who had used a silver coated sheet inside that room, and on that silver coated sheet the image was printed. This image could not be reprinted, so one single setting, one single image. This is the earliest surviving image of silver coated sheet. That was called Duggery type. Then Henry Fox Tebbert was there in 1884. He used coated paper, which with some modification is also used today as photo papers. So Tebbert was one who started it on paper. Then Archer came and he started a moving photography. It was kept on a cart, and the photographer used to cover using his head using the canvas or dark curtain, so that that part should not be exposed. So he would cover his head and then take photograph. So Archer is one who took it to the public. Then it goes more public with George Eastman. He gave a logo, you push the button and we do the rest. So he made a compact camera where you can take the camera, push the button, and the photograph will be taken. Later on you will develop that using films. Let's quickly try to understand camera and the gears. There are many types of cameras. So one of the earliest one that I have started with is this. Push the button. So I use this. I started this 2001, the first camera that I bought. So here you have this button to open the shutter, and you have the click button here, and you can you have film rolls, which unfortunately are not available now. So you can use film rolls inside. Put the films, roll it, and you can start taking. So this is earliest existing working camera I have. Unfortunately, roll is not available. Then the second camera was a point and shoot camera, a digital camera. Started and took this in 2005. So this camera you can it still works. You can switch on, and instead of roll, you had a sensor at the background. So the image will go, and the sensor will record unlimited number of images on a memory card. This was the point and shoot camera, still working, and it still takes better photograph than a smartphone. The third camera was a camcorder, which became very popular. So this camcorder, I just switched it on. This camcorder has a rotating screen, as you can see here. It was used for both video and images. But for video, it is very good. It's better than a mobile phone because it can zoom in. I just press this, and sir is more focused. I can just focus on sir now. I just press, so it has 50 times zoom. So it can zoom up to 50 meters into this. So this was a camcorder with inbuilt capacities of memory card. Then come a DSLR camera. So this camera, DSLR camera, which was very popular now. Still we have a studio using DSLR camera. They call it a digital single lens reflector. So you have single lens. You at one time you can attach a single lens, and then it has a screen, a mirror. So it will mirror is a shutter that works in front of the lens. There is a mirror. As you press the shutter button, the mirror lifts and the light goes to the sensor and it's recorded. So digital single lens reflector, DSLR, we popularly call it. So these are the 4 basic camera types. Then we have now coming to mirrorless camera, where the mirror which was in front is being removed. Now the camera is completely mirrorless. Shutter just opens and the image is recorded. So mirror is not there. They are advanced cameras. So mirrorless camera is more advanced than this DSLR. Then one camera is also worth noticing here is instant cameras, where you have small films, so small papers. You click the button and the image is printed out. So you click the button, instantly get the image. So they are called Insta cameras, where immediately, but they work on a special kind of papers. Then you have action cameras, which have become more popular with digital age, people YouTubing and doing the work and getting inside the water. So it is waterproof, can go up to 100 feet deep and can record images there. You can also mount it on the head while mounting, and also they are called action camera, which works with people on the move. So action cameras, and the last, the smartphone cameras, which are 100 megapixel, 200 megapixel, reaching megapixel, but when it comes to quality, still the most dependable is the DSLR. The camera is very similar to our eye. The whole thing is taken from our eye. As you can see over there, the camera has films or sensor, while eyes have retina at the back. The camera has diaphragm, but we have iris in the same. For diaphragm we have iris. The camera has aperture. I'll discuss about that a bit later. Our eyes have pupils. The camera has lens. Eyes also has lens. The camera has black pen. All the cameras black in color, so that light is not reflected back from the body of the camera. So camera has black paint and our eyes have super whites. The camera has some, so I'll not discuss, it's not that we can take great photographs with DSLR, that's why I've brought all kind of camera. So some basic function that you have is designated camera, not a mobile camera, has these functions. You have mode dial. I'll just lift it and show you. So on the top you have this mode dial where you can select different modes, and the top this is mode dial. Then you have a flash. I just press on this and the inbuilt flash of the camera will pop up. So this is a pop-up flash. So it's a pop-up flash. Then you have the main push button, flash button. Then you have this is called shutter button. This is the button that clicks all the photographs. So shutter. Then you have lenses. These are the lenses. Lens reverser, lens release button is here. If you want to open the lens, you have lens release button. You have viewfinder. This is a viewfinder. So you cannot take the photo. The digital display is not coming here. So you have to put your eye like this, and then click the picture. So this is called viewfinder. Then you have power button. This is power on and off. The basic at the back you have some menu keys and all, which is advanced level of function. I'm not here to explain all these things. If you need proper discussion, we can sit one-to-one and discuss that. I'll come to modes. There are many modes of the camera, which is also in mobile phone camera. I'll not discuss only with this. These modes are also available in mobile phone camera. When you start clicking pictures, there is something called auto. So automatic button already, if you start shooting something, it automatically selects the mode. Many cameras now, but many a time when automatic button does not function well, we need to interfere. It's simple like human translation and machine translation. Machine translates, it has limitations. It can translate bad, but human translation can be very clear, override the wrong thing that machine is doing. So when you select it manually, you can select proper modes. There are many modes like portrait modes for human photography, face photography, macro for short, small flowers, very close-up photography, landscape for wider areas, coverage of wider area, sports for very quick action scenes, night for low light photography, Then you have some program buttons. In program, you can control all the modes. Then shutter priority, I'll discuss about these a bit later. Shutter priority, aperture priority, manual, auto depth, and flash off. Let's talk of the focal length of the camera. Focal length starts from 18, so this camera has 18 mm. At the back you see 18 mm. Now the camera is set to 18 mm. So my focal length is 18. The camera can see up to 18. When I start increasing it, it increases up to 55. This camera's lens, this lens has a capacity of 18 to 55. So it can zoom out at 18 and it can zoom in up to 55. This lens, other lenses have different capacities. This lens starts with a 55 and goes up to 255. So I start zooming in, it can go up to 255. Some lenses start with 255, goes up to 600. So they are bigger lenses. So basic, so I have not brought those lenses, and that's very expensive also, coming at about 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees. Mostly wildlife photographers use that. Then there is so these are the more distance you cover, the lesser focus will be there. So a 600 mm lens will have very small area covered, as you can see from there. While 18 mm has wider everything covered. Even there are some lenses which are 15 mm, 12 mm, which can take photograph up to this point, very close. So they are wide angle lenses. And then camera lenses, you can see some of these lenses I have brought. One is called prime lens. This lens cannot zoom. It has fixed, but it is very great for human photography. It has very high aperture, which I will discuss, 1.4 aperture, so it can take very great human photographs, portraits. And then still shorter is the wide angle lens, which is very shorter. Then you have, these are some of these macro lenses. They can convert a normal lens into macro lens. This is a kind of called a telephoto lens, which has more area coverage. So this can go up to 250. I have already talked about that. And this lens is a compact lens for teachers who can, for camera lovers who can drink a cup of tea in this, a dummy lens. So those who like to flaunt. So these are some of the basic types of lenses. Then we have tripods. Some of the tripods is very good to stabilize your image. If your hand moves, stabilizing will not work. So the first thing that you should know about holding a camera is that your right hand should be here, pressed against here, and your left hand here, down, not up from top. Many of us make mistakes. So you hold it from down, and you place your hand, take this, kind of support of your maybe stomach here, and then maybe you can also go down a bit. If you go down, then it can go here and like this. So you have to have a proper stabilizing. If the camera shakes, the image will shake. The image will blur. So you have to be very firm while you hold it. The better way is that you use a tripod, which is supplied, tripod or monopod, which you can buy for very less price. These tripods do not move. So you just switch it on, and you have shutters also. Mobile can also act as shutters for some camera. So once you click photo from here, there will be no shake in the camera. So these tripods are to stabilize the image. Some lenses also have a stabilizer. So this lens can tolerate basic shakes. So these tripods are of many kinds, very high value to low level, to still low level, to a gorilla tripod that you can hang on. You can hang on from a tree and you can hang the camera down. So these gorilla tripods can go anywhere and can hang anything. So these are basic 3-4 level of tripods. You have even smaller tripod like this, where you can hold your mobile. So this tripod can go a bit. You can have this tripod. You can keep it down, and you can hold your mobile here. So if you want a real stabilizer, and this tripod, this kind of tripod can also work. So you can also have a tripod like you have also tripod like this. So many levels of tripod, where if you want to have your photograph taken and no one is around to click a photograph, this tripod is very handy. You hold your camera there, you take the shutter, this is the shutter of the camera, This is connected through a mobile via Bluetooth. You go at the distance, you can see your self image, or you can position yourself. You just click the button, your image will be clicked. So many levels of tripods are there to help you take better photographs. Now let's talk of some of the lighting tools. I think the most important tool is this flash. So this flash is attached flash which you can attach to this camera or keep it there also. So you can attach the flash here and you have a button, you can click here, and as soon as you press this, the flash will, or when you press the shutter button, the flash will go. It's advised not to use flashes unless required. I suggest not to use flash because it's good to take photography in ambient lights. Ambient light is the normal light that you have, or normal light that you have in the night. So it's good to not to use flash. But if you use flash, you have to use it very carefully. I advise people to use flash during daytime. During daytime, flash is very good to be used because daytime, if you take photograph right now, the face will come black, darker, because of the shadow effect. If you use flash now, that will be a fill flash, and then your face will come sharper. Night time, I suggest less. If you use flash, use a bounce flash. Keep your flash toward the roof. The light will bounce back, and that image will have good light. If you use a direct flash, like this, focusing on the face, the image will be blown off, and the image will be much wide. And I can tell you that this photograph is taken using a flash. So it's good to use a bounce flash. The flash goes up, the light bounces back, and then image is taken. It's not good to use a flash of this mobile camera as less as possible. But if you use mobile flash, use a considerable distance, because if you keep very close to the subject, the flash will blow off the face and it will look very wide. So it's good to use a considerable distance of at least 1 meter when you use a flash of your mobile phone camera. There are many other lighting tools also. One such is a video lighting tool that you have here, so you can switch on this on. It's very simple. You can switch it on, and you can have lights working. There are two kind of lights that work here. You can have this kind of warm light, and you can dim the warm light, and you can use the cool light. So there are two kinds of light. Cool light, this is mostly used by videographers, cool and warm light. So this is mostly used if you have some object very distant. You can also use this light for taking mobile photographs, mobile phones. You can use this light at a particular distance, hide it, and take the photograph of the subject. Then you don't have, in the night, these kind of things can work very handy. It works with a battery. Right, then there are advanced lighting tools which are used in studio. I'm not going to discuss that. Some of the other tips and tricks or tools that we can use is, this is a very special kind of photography. This is called crystal ball. In this crystal ball, image comes inverted. So whatever is top will go down, as you can see in the image center. So whatever goes top will go down. But when you take pictures from the back of this lens ball, very good quality. It has a new genre of photography. Taking photography from lens ball, different sizes, 60 mm or 80 mm, like this, different size of lens balls are there. Then you have shutters, then you have UVs which you attach to the lenses. These UV filters are there that you can attach so that different density of light comes. Some filters are darker, some are less darker. You attach that so that during daytime, if a very bright sky is there, that filter will decrease the density of the light, and a good quality image will come. Then memory cards, special bags are there. You have to keep these bags where lots of cushions are inside. Otherwise, the camera will easily get damaged. Lenses are very delicate things, will get damaged. So special designated bags are there. I'll come to composition. There is something called the rule of the thirds. I don't know why this image has not come here. But rule of the third says that when you take any image, the image should not be in the center. You have to draw a line. I will just say that one line here, one here. So one here, one here. Two lines in the center, two lines left to right, two lines top to down. And the whole area image can be divided into 9 parts. The image should somehow not be in the center part, either towards left or towards the right. So like you see that here it started, the image starts from here basically. So my image starts from here. So it is in the 1/3, slightly covering toward the center. So image should not be there. They have this composition rule that image should not be always in the center. Sometimes you can break it, but image should be either 1/3, first third or second third, bottom third or top third. So image should not be in center, so that's called rule of the third. Background, one of NCRT faculty's picture. I have taken it in, this image was also taken in Udaipur. This image was taken in Udaipur. This is NCRT faculty, a candidate of some election is going on. Okay. You named it. We have taken it. We went for an Easter. Background plays a very great role. You can see something written in the background. So when you are clicking some image, what is going in the background can certainly make or break the quality of the picture. This photograph tells this person is old, while he may not be. Are you getting the point? Bude hoya jawan or something like that. So what is there at the background, you have to take care of that. So background plays a great role. Then perspective also, at what perspective you are taking the picture. So whether you are using it from a tilted angle, oblique angle, or a bird's eye view, very small zoomed out version, or an eye level angle for camera is at the eye level, or a high angle to show the person down. Even though the person is of great stature, if you want to prove that person down, you take the image from high angle. Low angle, even though the person is of not good quality, the person will look very flamboyant, something, some great kind of thing. If you take the image from a giant kind of thing, if you take the picture from low angle. So low angle, so many angles are there when you take pictures. It decides what you have in mind, straight level, high level, low angle, or different levels. When it comes to exposure, we need to understand, this happens with most of the lenses. In your mobile camera also has this setting of aperture. Like our pupils, aperture works like our eye pupils. When we are in the dark, our pupils become bigger. When we are in the bright sunlight, the pupils become shorter. You can see f22. This aperture is counted on the number of f-stops. f1.4 is the biggest opening of the lens. Everything from the lens is opened at the maximum level. Aperture 1. This lens has aperture 1.8 starting with. Some lenses highly expensive go up to 1.4, not less than that. So this has big hole inside, it will open up much. And if it opens up much, that means it will focus on immediate subject and the other will go blur. You can see the picture of the first picture down of men's picture. The whole thing house has gone blurred. It has complete focus on the image. So aperture, the smallest the aperture, the more the focus will be there. So aperture priority mode, mostly pictures are taken of one subject. Tiny things, small insects and all, we take with high aperture. Then f22 is the low aperture, lowest opening, and there you have all the thing, everything coming very clear. The images taken by from our camera is taken at somewhere around f5.6 or f8. It covers everything, something in the background, something in the front, everything. So with mid aperture or high aperture, we cover everything. Depth of field. Aperture decides depth of field, how deep the field is. As you can see, the first green swan has more depth of field, and the last one, the first yellow has more depth of field, and the trees or the green swan has less depth of field. So depth of field is decided, the highest the aperture, the more will be the depth of field, and the background will be blurred. That also talks about creating a bokeh photograph. Many of us love that kind of photography. They call it bokeh photograph. When the person is in focus and background goes blurred. Many of us like this kind of photography, and easily this can be done by, in mobile this can also be done. So there are small cameras also in mobile that creates a bokeh. But one tip and trick that you should know is that if you create a distance from the main subject to the background the more the distance, the better will be the blur. So if I take a photograph of this here, the background will go blur because other subjects are very far. But if I keep an object here and the other object here, are you getting it? So both will come in the focus. The blur will be less. So if you can isolate the background from the main subject, the better the isolation of the background from the main subject, the better will be the bokeh created for the photograph and the good quality photo. You can see here the mountain has gone almost invisible while the main subject in focus is taken at to their photo. Shutter speed, one very important thing in camera. These cameras have shutter speed. So these shutters are decided as to for how long the shutter remains open, for how short or long time the shutter remains open. So I can increase or decrease the shutter speed on the basis of the need. If I want to capture every small accident, fractions of seconds, millions of fractions of seconds, I can keep my shutter speed to very great level. Here you see the birds are there, but the shutter speed has been very low. So with this low shutter speed, their wings are also captured. If the shutter speed is slow, the wings will get blurred. So shutter speed starts from 1/2, where you get all the blur. So 1/2 is 1 second, 2 parts of 1 second, so half a second. 1/4 is 1/4 of a second. 1/8 is 1/8 of a second. 1/500 is 1 second ka 500 times, 500 smallest part. So 500 smallest part of 1 second. So there the shutter opens for a very short time. 1/2 the shutter remains open for a longer time. Very simple, our eyelids. Our eyelids can blink for a very quick time and can remain open for a longer time. If our eyelids remain open for a longer time, all the good image or everything will be visible. If the shutter remains open for a very short time, very small thing will be captured, but less light will go. So less shutter speed, for high shutter speed, less light will go. For low shutter speed, more light will go, but blurred will be created. It's advised that in camera, do not operate, if you are operating a DSLR, do not operate for less than 1/60th of a second. If you operate a camera below 1/60th of a second, the image will start getting blurred. So this is, you can see the shutter speed. The small droplets of water is captured. So the shutter speed must be more than 150 and 1/500 of a second. But if your shutter speed is 1/500 of a second, the light should be sufficient. Otherwise, the whole image will come down. Timing is very important. You have to be very careful with the timing. As you can see, the 2 photographs there. In the blink of the seconds, the scene can change. So you have to take care as to what, you have to be ready with the things and keep waiting. 2 birds trying to be close, whether you want to take them front to front or when they are crossing. The next second, they crossed. So at what point you are taking the image, you have to be very careful with the timing. It matters a lot. Then one setting is called ISO. This is the sensitivity of sensor. Every mobile camera, including DSLR, has ISO settings. So if you go detail into the setting, you have ISO settings. I don't know, the full form of ISO, they don't call it. They call it camera sensitivity of light. This ISO ranges from 100 to 800 to 3000, 6400 to even higher level. So the more the ISO, the more bright the image will be. The less the ISO, the less brighter the image will be. The sensitivity, so if the ISO is sensitive to 64,000, small grains of the light will also be captured. The image will be blown out. So in the night, you use higher sensitivity of light. So even the smallest light will be captured. So those who take space photography, star trails and all, they use very high ISO, so that the stars twinkling at a very far, small light, range of light coming from there can be captured there. Then light, you have many kinds of lights. You have tungsten light, which is bluer in tone, to daylight, cool daylight, to shade, to cloudy, to flash, to fluorescent light. So different kind of light patterns are there. The most important thing is you have light temperature also measured in Kelvin. The camera can also measure that. So you have also these settings in your mobile camera. So what kind of light you want to work on, all these previous settings that I have said, these kind of settings are also there in mobile camera. So in what color you want the image to be captured, and in what temperature you want the image to be captured. So for skins and all tone to come brighter, it's good to use slightly higher Kelvins, like the ones that are down, slightly about 2500 Kelvin. If you can take the image of human portraits, use a Kelvin of about 3000, which is tender to take your skin tone, proper skin tone. Otherwise it will take kind of blonde of skin, white skin, which may not be appropriately representing you. It can represent you white while you're still darker. Direction of light also matters. You can see that how, from which direction. It's not only for the flashes, for other lights also. What shade you want to keep. If the light is coming from the top, what kind of image will be there. This the second last image. Here the light is coming from the top. Here it is coming from the left. Again left. So different. I think here. First is more left. Third image has slightly front light. Fourth image also has slightly front light, but fifth image has front and up light. One light, third image also has slightly down balance light. So you see, if you want neck shadows, if you have light coming from the top, neck shadow will be created. Here the shadow of the chin will be created. So you see the direction of light also works. One rule of the thumb is golden hour. The best time to take photograph is the golden hour. Golden hour is just at sunrise and just at sunset. A few minutes or maybe half an hour before sunrise and half an hour after sunset. Before sunrise and sunset, half an hour is the best time to take photographs, because that time the lights are reflected from the sky and natural glow is there, direct light is not there. So the best image that you can capture will be your golden hours, dusk and dawn, just before and after that. Also, another best type of photography is a cloudy day when direct sunlight is not there and the sunlight is balanced due to cloud. And monsoon or this rainy season is the best time to take photographs. The atmosphere is clean and the light is equally spread. So the best time for photography is the rainy season. Then there is monochrome, which is black and white. Some photographs need not to be colored. They can be black and white as well. This image again taken at Udaipur is black and white photograph. But some images here you cannot capture crows and birds flying using color because they are very far. So there the light, or you are taking the picture against the sky. The images will go black. So it's good to have monochrome. Monochrome is also termed as black and white. So you can take these black and white photographs. So sometimes it's good to use monochrome photography. References I have used this book. I have read every bit of the Joel Sartre's book, Photo Basics. He is a National Geographic photographer. So I have taken help from this book. I have read each and every bit of this. Then Michael Freeman's book is there, which is a complete guide to digital photography. I've used this for post-production. I'm not discussed any part of post-production here. Maybe one session we can take how to balance image. Bad photograph you have taken and you want to make it good. So how you can use your computer to make it good. So that's a post-production. But some tips and tricks of photography is also here. I've done a course on photography by Shaw Academy. Complete photography course, a 6-month course I have done over there. Then Sudhir Shivraman is a very good photographer, India wildlife photographer. I've learned direct lessons under him. Then Canon I have got a Canon camera, and Canon has offered free workshop for me. So I have taken some workshop of Canon. And Mind Creation of Patna, that time I was in Patna. And Nishant Dwivedi from Kanpur has also been my good friends to help me a lot with tips and tricks. This photo is taken from Nishant Dwivedi. So some of the workshops or some of the free walks is taken from Sonpur Fair when we had a photo walk there. Thank you very much.